Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Ever been curious about what it takes to run one of those orthopedic supply shops?
Happy to be here.
Today we're really going to get into what it means to work as an orthopedic supply shop manager. And actually,
Mhm.
the RoleCatcher guide we're using is super interesting. It says this job is really hands-on. We're not just talking about managing inventory on spreadsheets here, but like really being in the thick of things. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. It's definitely a dynamic role. You're managing a team and the business side of things for sure, but also interacting directly with customers. And not just one type of customer either. Think athletes, nursing sprains, people recovering from surgery, maybe even physical therapists stocking up for their practice.
Wow, okay, that's a lot more variety than I pictured. And speaking of what they're selling, the guide mentions cutting-edge orthotics. That sounds way more high tech than I would thought. Like, what kind of cool stuff are we talking about?
Oh, it's going way beyond like your basic crutches and bandages. Think custom molded orthotics that are designed from a 3D scan of a patient's foot. These can seriously reduce healing time and be way more comfortable than the old ways of doing things. And then there's the brace technology. It's unbelievable. They have these lightweight, breathable materials now so they can give support without like completely limiting your movement.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like to do this job, you'd have to stay updated on all the latest medical technology and products, almost like you're on the cutting edge of healthcare in a way.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You definitely have to stay ahead of the curve. New stuff is always coming out, so you got to be constantly learning.
Now, something else I noticed is that the guide uses a ton of management lingo to describe this job. There's a big emphasis on leadership, sales, budgets, even negotiating contracts with suppliers. So it's definitely not just knowing where everything is on the shelves right now.
No, not at all. Really, you're running a specialized retail business. That means motivating your sales team, training new hires, keeping track of inventory, analyzing sales data. You even have to do things like negotiate contracts to make sure you're getting the best prices from suppliers.
Wow, okay. So you need some serious business skills for this. And the guide even specifically mentions needing critical thinking and problem-solving skills. What kind of situations would those skills actually come up in this line of work?
Okay, so imagine it's Monday morning. It's busy. Your best salesperson calls in sick. The delivery truck with like a super important shipment of knee braces is stuck in traffic. And on top of it all, a customer is asking for a very specific type of ankle support, but it's been back ordered for weeks.
Oh man, that sounds stressful. So you need to be able to think on your feet, come up with solutions, and probably handle a decent amount of stress too.
Yeah, you could say that. You have to be able to juggle a lot of things at once and stay calm even when things get tough. And then you have to find solutions that work for everybody. It's not always easy, but that's where those problem-solving skills come in handy.
Yeah, I can see that. So it sounds challenging, but also really rewarding. And speaking of rewards, the guide also talks a lot about the importance of empathy and patience when you're working with customers, which makes sense because these are people who are dealing with pain or recovering from injuries or maybe even facing some big mobility challenges.
It's so true. A big part of this job is being able to really listen to your customers, like really understand their needs and then help them find the products that are going to help them the most. Sometimes they just need someone to listen and offer some reassurance, especially if they're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated.
That's true. It sounds like it's really important to be able to connect with people on a human level and not just treat them like transactions.
Exactly. You're not just selling them a product, you're offering them a service and sometimes even a sense of hope. Like helping someone regain their mobility or manage their pain can be incredibly rewarding.
That's awesome.
Well,
Okay, so let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, this actually sounds like a job I would be good at. What does RoleCatcher say about how to actually get a job like this? What kind of experience should someone have?
Well, the guide really stresses the importance of having hands-on experience, especially in a customer service type of role. So any kind of retail experience is a great foundation to have, especially if you've worked in specialty retail where you had to learn about the products you were selling. And even better if you've worked in healthcare in some capacity. Like if you have experience with inventory management or sales or customer service in a healthcare setting.
So like even volunteering at a hospital gift shop or working part-time at a pharmacy could be helpful.
Absolutely. It shows that you're a self-starter and that you're actually interested in healthcare, even if it's not specifically related to orthopedic supplies.
That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Are there any other things someone could do to stand out from the crowd? I imagine there's a lot of competition for these jobs.
Yeah, it can be pretty competitive.
Yeah.
The guide actually emphasizes the importance of continuous learning, like taking some online courses in inventory management or sales strategies, or even medical billing. That kind of thing can really give you a leg up on the competition.
Yeah, because it shows you're willing to take initiative and keep learning new skills.
Exactly. And you should never underestimate the importance of networking. Connecting with people in the industry, going to conferences, joining online groups. You never know where your next opportunity is going to come from.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Networking is so important. Now let's talk about career progression for a minute. Let's say you get an entry-level job at one of these shops. What does the path to becoming a manager look like?
So RoleCatcher actually does a really good job of outlining the typical career ladder. You usually start as a sales associate, then you move up to senior sales associate, and then eventually you can get promoted to a management role. They even have some examples of real people's career paths, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. So you can actually see what the journey looks like. I'm looking at one of the examples right now. This one says they were a senior orthopedic supply shop sales associate, and they were responsible for things like training new hires and analyzing sales data and even building relationships with suppliers to try to get better deals.
Yeah.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but it just
Mhm.
goes to show you how many valuable skills you learn along the way. And those skills can be really useful in other jobs too. So even if you decide later on that you want to do something different, like a different area of healthcare or maybe even a completely different industry, the experience that you get in this role will definitely be valuable.
So there's definitely room for growth, even if you decide to change directions later on. Now let's talk about something that I know everyone wants to know about, the earning potential. Can you actually make a good living doing this job?
Yeah, for sure you can. The guide says that orthopedic supply shop managers can make a really good living, especially as you get more experience and move into those higher level management roles. I mean, like with any job, your location and the size of the company you work for are going to make a difference. But overall, it seems like this is a field with a lot of earning potential.
That's good to know. Plus, it seems like a pretty stable career path. I mean, people are always going to need orthopedic supplies, right?
Definitely. There's always going to be a demand for these products and services. That kind of stability is hard to find in a lot of other fields.
That's a really good point. So we've talked about the responsibilities, the skills you need, the career path, the earning potential. But I think it's clear that it takes a special kind of person to really succeed in this role. It's not just about managing inventory and crunching numbers. It's also about being able to connect with people on a human level,
Yeah.
especially when they're going through a tough time.
That's such a good point. You have to really want to help people. I mean, you're going to be working with people who are in pain or recovering from injuries or maybe trying to regain their mobility. So having empathy and patience and being a good listener are really important.
It's almost like you're not just helping them physically,
Hmm.
but also emotionally
Yeah.
by giving them support and encouragement.
Absolutely. You become more than just a shop manager. You're like a part of their support system as they're on the road to recovery.
That's so true. So if someone is listening to this and thinking about whether or not this is the right career path for them, what would you say is the most important thing for them to keep in mind?
Hmm. That's a good question. I'd say if you're someone who likes to work in a fast-paced environment and you enjoy being around people, and if you like the challenge of solving problems and you're interested in healthcare, even the business side of it, then this could be a great fit for you. It's definitely demanding, but it's also super rewarding.
I love that. And for everyone listening, here's something to think about. The RoleCatcher guide mentioned how much technology is changing the retail industry. So just imagine what that could mean for orthopedic supply shops in the future. What if they had AI assistants that could help customers find the right products? Or what about using virtual reality to help patients get used to a new prosthetic limb? There's so much potential for innovation in this field, and that's something to be excited about. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of orthopedic supply shop managers. Thanks for joining us.